that same thing. We just happened to go down the state house steps. Hey, father and son shake hands.
Yeah.
No, it's a matter of staying in step. Don't report first. Oh, yeah. This is going to be.
The numbers are generated.
Because it's the
But
number
they're from
that
overseas. They're generated here, so they appear to be a local call.
well,
So they're going to be similar to local call using their number two.
but it didn't sound like
It's on
it
this
was
letter.
formed.
And they went through what they
But
paid, and they knew
the
they
number
would.
that gave me,
They had 1.25
that they called me from.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking them. I know, I wasn't seeing
I found Roger's on Facebook. Remember Roger?
I knew it was going to be a bump. I knew they weren't going to have.
I saw him.
I'm not too sure they didn't have more than 20.
You asked for a big record.
But
Big record.
yeah,
How many pages?
grandparents live right across the
30. Not every.
It's right on the corner from my parents.
On
Right there, 57th Street, 6th Avenue. My parents went down 6th Avenue.
It's all they gave.
I guess my question is, can they bill you for time and labor? Just print.
They could have, but the village lived
He
25
came in to visit me, and then they did that. But yeah.
Because I was
Yeah, he was like a city councilor or something. Yeah.
They got
I saw your brother represented. And Green Monks. Green Monks really brother. I didn't know when he moved away. It was before Vienna, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. They went down to South Carolina.
Whatever happened with
There was only two.
that's the first name. The city responded, no, but no, basically to
Another kid, James T.
So that's hanging out.
Well, the gallows hits him. This is the gallows down there because of the
By having the
Remember Dave Dodger?
and they should walk in after it's spent. Yeah, but I mean, my best friend,
Anyway,
I usually gravel him.
give some your kid like Kyle will figure it out.
Looks like it, yeah.
I don't have it. Somebody wanted it. My daughter. But I assume raise, help raise grandchildren, I'm greatly. Act as part of it.
live, you know, I hate with it.
Good evening. Would you please join me for the fire alarm? Here we go. Would you please join me for the invocation and pledge of allegiance? Before we do the prayer this evening, Mr. Conley would like to ask us something.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mayor. Most of you, if not all of you, have probably heard of Eli Clark. Little cousin of mine, 14 years old, that passed away with brain cancer just this past week. And Eli Clark, yeah, he's touched the lives of thousands and thousands of people all over the world. And the viewing's taking place as we speak right now. And just wanted to see if we could all do a moment of silence in memory of Eli. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Rogers, please, if you can remember how.
Our God, our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day, for all the blessings that you've given to each of us here. We pray tonight that you'll be with us and guide us as we go about the business of the city. We pray that you'll be the family members of Eli Clark. Comfort them in his loss. Comfort each of us, too, because he affected a lot of people. We continue to pray for those serving the armed forces abroad, serving in harm's way. Be with them and guard them. These things we pray in Christ's name, and amen.
Amen. Recorder Smith, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under the public forum this evening, we have 4 people that have signed up to speak. Lawrence Wilson. And I would like to make a note to you all. We kind of forgot to remind you all, but we are live streaming this. So we're not going to ask you to tell us your address. It's on the sheet of paper, so we have it for the record. So you don't have to do that. But anyway, Lawrence Wilson.
Good evening, I'm Lawrence Wilson. I wasn't going to talk tonight, but then I realized that this fire fee is alive and well one more time. Some people think we're going to get the 202, but I think most of us listening and looking at me right now know that's not going to happen. Now, I got a bunch of paperwork that I asked for in August. I received it probably Monday or Tuesday. It was available to me a few days earlier, but not much. And this is the letter from the city. About 60% of it was my Freedom of Information Act in, and the balance is going to be the bottom part coming back from this bar. Oh, excuse me. And she says, we have reviewed the records both in the city and with CSSI, the business that administers our computer system. The records from the city regarding your FOIA request only go back to 1995, and I had requested 1973 to date through 30 June 2018. At CSSI, starting in 1995, there are approximately 1.4 million entries, and I'm glad we got away from the research fee. Composed of each monthly entry for each person paying the police fee, including those receiving a discount. These entries have been distilled down into a 17-page document covering 1995 to present. That breaks down the fees into payments by senior, regular fee, total senior charges, and total regular charges, as well as total count and total charges. There is also a group of documents totaling 17 pages titled Short Budget Report for the City of Vienna, covering the only years we have retained, which are 2001 to 2018. There was nothing that calculates the amount of reduction each year for this fee. In other words, as I've noted, it's about $25,500 in round numbers off of the 215 if you're deducting what you're not getting. But the city says they're getting 215. Now, a little thing I emailed into Mr. Rapp is inspection and copying of public records, request to Freedom of Information Act request registry. And it says, the custodian of any public record, unless otherwise expressly provided by statute, shall furnish proper and reasonable opportunities for inspection and examination of the records in his or her office and reasonable facilities for making memoranda or abstracts, copies thereof. Well, once again, this is why we end up in court. You folks were kind enough to give me 34 pieces of paper. Now, what got me was on the short budget report, I've got 17 pages, 1 of 2. I never saw page 2. I never said I didn't want it. So we have a FOIA issue again. And then I went through this list that you folks gave me that I've noted before, starting in 1995, going through January of 2018. I didn't get February through June. I don't know where it is, but I got this little tiny piece. But what I was noticing is, for example, January 1996, you had 1,019 retirees, 2,593 regular accounts, which would be anyone over 65 that didn't take the deduction, or a regular residential account. There were 213 business accounts, if I'm reading the CO part of this report correctly. It stood for company. Now, according to this report, you got from the seniors $2,348.87. Well, I figured it out, and I used 203, which may be off by $10 or a penny per account, and I ended up with 2,068.70, which was, if you use 202, it's $10 less than the $280 shortfall that shows on this report. Now, I went back through a few other years to check a few, just a few. There's a lot of data here. I mean, you know that, Mr. Rapp. You guys gave me a lot of data. And it's the same thing, year after year after year, month after month, I checked, which weren't a lot, 3 or 4 to start with. Every one of them, the numbers don't match. They're off by some small amount, not necessarily hundreds of dollars, but the point is, the information does not add up to what is being put on the report. And I guess, not being very smart, I'm going to ask the question, why are all of these off? Because by the same token over here, the short budget, and there's 2 budgets, folks. You have the short one and you have the long one. Now, I got trapped on this before, and the first time I did it, they sent me the short one instead of the long form, which really tells you a lot of stuff. But on this one here, they have got what I guess are 12-month periods, because it doesn't say anything about a month, but it reflects the fact that you budget $215. You've done this every year since time immemorial, and then we have actual month to date. For example, this one is, I guess, an average for the year of $17,900, and then we come across to $216,938, and then the available, what's left, is $1,938. We go along year by year by year, and these numbers do not explain themselves. And in any case, there's apparently far more numbers, more money than is being addressed in the 215, but nowhere, as I went back through the later years, these last 3 or 4 years, could I come up with that $25,000 dropping off that the 1,067 or whatever it was seniors were getting at the reduced rate. So this is why I have been so critical of line 361. It shows 251 every year, and yet as you go along through there, it never shows where in actuality you're not getting $215,000 if you deduct that $25,000. So I'm a little disappointed that I got all this data more or less. Like I say, I didn't get what I should have got. But I hope you guys keep all that in mind when we start voting on this 202 and don't feel too bad if it doesn't come to pass. Thank you, folks.
Mr. Wilson, I would like to make a correction. When you started speaking, you referred to it as a fire fee. There is no fire fee, sir.
I'm sorry, police protection fee, thank you.
Yes. And we gave you every document that was produced. We are not required to produce documents. We are required to give you everything we have, and that is all of the documents, sir. All right, moving on. Mr. Frazier?
Good evening. My name is Greg Frazier. I want to take you back to the police discussion that we had 2 council meetings ago. And I think it was it could have been council comments. I don't recall exactly what part of the meeting it was discussed. But Councilman Bibby made the comment of $3.50. And I thought to myself then, well, it's $4.05. Didn't think much about it. And then Recorder Smith used the same figure, $3.50. I'm thinking, this is not making sense. So the following meeting, we vote on a ordinance for $3.50. So I'm trying to connect the dots, and I'm thinking, this has got to be in violation of open meeting law. Somebody's been doing some talking before the meeting. So I'd like for the city attorney to do some investigating on this. It appears to me that there's been a meeting before the meeting. I can't connect the dots. I have no way of doing that. Just putting that out there. The other thing I wanted to ask was, Mr. Leach, if you've gotten back, you have the information I requested. The $1,424.21 occurrence quite often.
No.
I thought you was going to do that.
Mr. Frazier, I can answer that question for you.
Okay, that'd be fine.
When we built the senior center, we received a $50,000 loan from the McDonough Foundation. They had a new program that they were starting, and they asked us to be one of the pilot partners in that with them. And so rather than take the $50,000 out of capital reserve, we actually borrowed the $50,000 from the McDonough Foundation. And so you notice that it's the same amount every time. That is the monthly payment that we make for the senior center.
Okay, that's what I wanted to do.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Jim, I apologize. I meant to get that to you. It's my fault.
That was my fault. I made a note and lost it.
Mr. Skogstad, please stop me if I'm out of bounds here, okay? The question that you asked about the $3.50, it was asked by members of council to do for our city finance director to do calculations of different dollar amounts. If you take the $3.50 and you multiply that by the number of people that actually pay the police fee, it will come out to be exactly the same amount of $215,000. That's why it was referenced. That was simply one of the scenarios of if the number was changed from 405 and the discount was taken off, the 350 would generate the same $215,000. If you do the numbers, you'll find that it will come out to be that. So there was no collusion among members. It was a number that our finance director put out because we were trying to calculate how many dollars we would actually lose under all of the scenarios.
Well, it seemed kind of obvious to me that Councilman Bibby mentions the $3.50, and then Recorder Smith mentioned the same $3.50.
And that's the number I got from the finance director. I never spoke to
Well,
Councilman
that's
Bibby.
why I'm asking, was there conversations
Yeah, there was
outside?
There was not.
Okay.
All right,
I
that's where the
seen
350
him.
came from. All right.
At council meeting.
It is the number that would balance the
Can you see
215.
why I would ask that question?
I just want you to understand, that came from the finance department, okay?
I had no discussions with anybody outside public council on the 350. What was discussed here
I appreciate that.
was, and like Recorder Smith, I got the number the same way she did.
I was just surprised when I heard it.
Sure.
And then the next meeting, I heard the same number.
Mr. Slauson,
Thank you all.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't know how to say your last name.
That's okay.
Is it Tapari?
I'll say it.
All right, you do it.
I'll make it easier for you.
Yeah.
My name is Betty Toppery, and I don't have anything specific to the agenda. I do have a question, though. When I moved here in 2013, I was told there was a dead animal on the road, just on the curb, and I was told I was not to move it. I said, okay, that I would get arrested if I did, or a ticket or something, and I'm going, So now there's a dead pigeon in my front yard, on the corner of my yard. I mowed around it last Friday. I called City Hall and asked, what do I do about the pigeon? Do I scoop him up and trash him, or what do I do? And I was referred to Mr. Black. I made 2 phone calls to him. I have heard nothing. The same dead pigeon is laying in my front yard, and I just want to know what to do about it.
Mr. Black's on vacation. He's been gone for the last, today's Thursday, he's been gone for the last 7 or 8 days. So when Mr. Black gets back,
I think it's safe that she can remove the pigeon.
oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I want to know. I want to get it out of my yard.
There you go.
There's, just to clear up, West Virginia has a statute that deals, part of it's the hunting issue. It makes it unlawful for you to possess any wildlife that is, unless it's been lawfully taken, killed, or obtained. Because, and we had a roadkill statute a few years ago, and thanks to the publicity, I don't remember what happened with that. But what that means is if you see a dead deer, the law was, you're not supposed to have dead deer picked up alongside the road, because you'll have, somebody will say that they just hit the deer, and they really didn't. Or maybe they did, but they opted to just keep the back straps and the what have you. So it's just one of the ways that the DNR tries to enforce the hunting regulations, and the legislature gave the state that statute. So that's why you may have heard different things. But most cities have vermin statutes, and typically pigeons are considered vermin. They are in Parkersburg, where I live. So hopefully that clears it up.
Okay.
I'd like to call to order this regular session of the Vienna City Council for September the 27th, 2018. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll, that all members of council are present. Having a quorum, we will proceed. The minutes from the regular council meeting held on September the 13th, 2018 have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. There is no treasurer's report. It will be given at the first meeting of the month. So we move on to unfinished business. First item on our agenda this evening is an ordinance on second reading, repealing Article 729.04 of the codified ordinances of the City of Vienna. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Article 729.04, exemptions of the Vienna Municipal Code, is hereby repealed. I'll entertain a motion on second reading for the approval of the ordinance repealing Article 729.04.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we, on second reading, repeal Article 729.04 of the codified ordinances of the City of Vienna. Mr. Skogstad, would you please tell us what 729.04 is?
Well, in short, that is the exemption under the municipal code for people over the age of 65.
And why are we repealing it, sir?
And we're repealing it because I believe, based on my research, or I think, based on my research, that the fee is an unlawful fee because it creates separate classes in the city that there is no rational basis for. And when I say rational basis, there's no lawful basis for. You can create classes based on a lot of things, but when it comes to fees, you're limited. Municipalities are limited by law to what they can create fees for and how fees are implemented. They're doubly so limited on taxes. This fee creates age, a separation in fees or a difference in fees by age. Thus far, the state of West Virginia and the West Virginia Supreme Court have not allowed that. And I can go on, but essentially that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I do.
Excuse me, Mr. Conley. Mr. Rogers had his hand up first.
My question is, this is on the second reading, so if it passes tonight and my police fee is due tomorrow, you're saying that I will pay full price of 40 whatever instead of getting a reduction on my bill now, or is this, what is the effective date of this ordinance?
The effective date would be the date that it goes well, that was almost a circular answer. The effective date is the date it goes into effect.
Is there an effective date on the ordinance?
Whenever an ordinance is silent, the effective date is when it is voted on its second approval. So tomorrow, they probably will not have time, if this passes, to adjust your bill. You'll probably see some type of adjustment in the future. There will have to be an accounting to take care of it if the ordinance passes.
Because of the way we bill the utility bills, Bruce, it's billed out in 4 zones. It won't be corrected until your next bill. So that, I mean, we just can't physically do it. It's just.
So instead of getting a deduction on the next bill when it's quarterly, then it'll be the same for everyone of 4 something?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Any further? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, sir, Mr. Collins.
Yeah, and I'm going down the same path that Councilman Rogers was talking about here. And I agree that if this ordinance passes the second reading tonight, prior to the rate for the police fee being set, then everyone at that point in time will be paying the $405, which includes the senior citizens. That would make an increase going to the senior citizens of $2.03. So for that reason, I would move that we actually move the vote on repealing this until after the vote has taken place for the amendment in order to not have the potential for that substantial increase for the seniors.
Yeah, I'm along with with you guys on this, because right now, if we repeal it without having a set price in place, the senior increase is going to be affected on the seniors, and we're taking that reduction away from them. So I'd rather, as council, come up with an agreed upon number before we go raising the seniors to 405. I mean, I'm all about everybody paying 202, but I think that you're right. I mean, automatically goes into effect, like Russ said, and that takes away the discounts for the seniors. And I'm afraid what's going to happen is it's come down to probably Bruce Rogers' vote, because it's 3-3 as far as the raising or lowering for the seniors, whatever else. So, but I'm against repealing it right now, because we don't know what we're going to charge.
But I would officially like to move that we move it behind the next vote.
Table it.
Time out. Mr. Conley has moved that we move this agenda item down to the bottom of the agenda this evening. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we move this item down to the bottom of the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of moving this to the bottom of the ordinance, to the bottom of the agenda, please signify by raising your right hand. Okay, all those opposed? Then we will move on. The first item under new business will be the ordinance on first reading, amending Article 729.03. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Article 729.03 fees is hereby amended as follows. 729.03 fees. A, for the continuance, maintenance, and improvement of the special services of police protection by the city, there is hereby imposed upon the users thereof, that is to say, collectively upon the occupants of each residential premise, each manufacturing plant, and each business premise from and after October the 1st, 2018, an annual fee or charge of $24.24 per year. This fee shall be payable in monthly payments in the amount of $2.02 each, beginning October the 1st, 2018, and on the first day of each month thereafter, as long as this article remains in effect. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the ordinance on first reading, amending Article 729.03 police fees.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the ordinance on first reading, amending Article 729.03. Is there any discussion?
Again, I'm gonna ask about the effective date, but I think in this, it has like October 1st.
It does.
As an effective date, and this budget that we're in right now, budget year, we've already approved it a long time ago, and right now we're taking out probably $100,000 out of this budget because of the effective date of this. So I have a problem with that because of trying to find $100,000. I know that maybe there might be some money in there as far as set aside for contingencies and all that stuff, but still, to take money away from the budget right now, I mean, police cruisers are already ordered, some of them are already in, some of that money has already basically been spent, and, you know, it's going to be difficult to try to come up with that money from this budget if this is taken out immediately. If the date is moved to maybe July 1st, 2019, which is next budget year, it might be a better effective date, but I'm sure that people are going to say that there's $100,000 already in there, but you know, it bothers me as far as the effective date, and you're taking money away from the budget that we've already basically approved.
Do we have a problem, Mr. Skogstad, of making the effective date of this July the 1st of next year?
You could just amend it as it's written. It's first reading. That's probably not a substantial change, or at least a material change, and it wouldn't matter because the law says between the first and second.
Well, personally, I have no problem and would suggest that we go ahead, since it has been budgeted or not been budgeted this year, we'll make that amendment and make it effective July 1 of 2019 to take care of any issue with the money not being budgeted.
Mr. Rogers, are you finished with your comments, sir? Or do you want to make that as a motion?
I'm not going to make it as a motion, but you know, I think it should be done because the money's already been put in the budget and it already been budgeted. But
we need an amendment to do that, sir. We can put that in there in the language.
That's what Mr. Connolly just.
Yeah, I'll make that motion that we make it effective July 1, 2019.
I'll second that.
But I also have a problem with the $2 and.
Well, let's deal with the amendment first, Bruce, and then we'll come back.
Yeah.
All right. We have an amendment to add the language that this would go into effect July the 1st, 2019 on the end of this ordinance. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of adding this ordinance to go into effect July 1st, 2019, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed?
Oh, I was gonna, right in there, I'm for that.
Okay, all right. Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Rogers, back to you, sir.
Well, I like to say that I've been going, I enjoyed my time away because I got to see some of my family members out of town. But while I was gone, I also heard what most of Greg was talking about, the $3.50, and was the same amount of money brought in. And I think the last time you had council meeting, that it went down 3-3 when you voted for the bill that had the $3.05 in it. This is $2.02. Probably 80% of those who are on the police fee will be receiving a deduction because they'll be going from $4.05 to $2.02. If that budget, if it even goes up to, like, instead of $24, if it goes up so we don't lose a lot of money in the next fiscal year, if the police fee stays in effect, I think I would like to see more of the number like $36, which would raise the price not from seniors to $1.50, but to it would raise about $1 for the seniors, and it still give at least 80% of the people who presently pay a police fee. I know personally, I've known about the deduction of people 55 and older getting a reduction for quite some time. For 16 years, I continued to pay the full amount and did not ask for a reduction because, hey, it's going to the police department. I think it's going to a good place. And, you know, they do a great job. We've put extra money from our budget to help make their retirement system more solid as far as that's concerned. We've taken that out of general fund, and there may be a time, because the last time we did it, I think it was over $1 million that we put in there to help make it fiduciary solvent, whatever. And I think maybe I don't know, every time I turn around these retirement systems, based on the stock market, if the stocks go down, then we have to put more money in it, and that might have to occur. And I don't want to take money away from that budget or the most of the budget. And I think $36 instead of 24 would be a good amount as far as that is concerned. And as a senior, $1 a month extra, I don't know what, 2 cups of coffee or a cup of coffee, but I don't think that's going to affect that much people on fixed income. I know that when we did the water sewer rate increases, that there were people out there saying that it's going to cost anywhere between $50 and $100 a month if this rate effect goes into effect. And I even heard here in this chambers that Mr. Leach was going to be the only one that can afford it because he's an attorney. But, I mean, this is only $1 or $12 a year. I don't think it's going to affect that much as far as seniors are concerned. I think as a senior, my Social Security went up $1 last year. So, I mean, I don't mind giving it back, but I don't think that's something that would be too out of line to go from 24 to 36 a year, or $3 for everyone. Myself.
Are you making a motion to change the amount to $3?
Yes, sir.
But at the same time, are we allowed to have comment on that, or?
Not till we get a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Second.
No, we don't have a second. Mr. Rogers would like to amend that ordinance to
$3.
from $3.
$36 a year, or $3 per.
Okay. Is there a second?
So it sounds
Thank
like
you.
the motion fails for lack of a second.
Okay. Mr. Conley, you had a comment?
No, not now.
All right. Just for information for Mr. Rogers and for the rest of the council, excuse me. Those calculations were also prepared. If the dollar amount would go to $3.50 for every resident, then the dollar amount would stay the $215,000. If it went to $3 per citizen, it would drop down to where the city would recoup $24,000 less. So that was what, Mr. Rogers, it would have only cost the city $24,000 out of the police fee. All right?
I would like to make a comment if I could at the appropriate time, Mayor. Now, I said I would like to make a comment at the appropriate time.
If it relates to the fee, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. If we have a concern about losing the revenue, the difference between the 350 that we talked about last week and the 202 that we have now, why can't we do something as simple as take that amount of money at the end of the year from the carryover that we have on an annual basis and just apply that to the police fee?
We have no idea what the carryover will be. That's the problem.
Oh, I understand, but there always is one.
Okay.
I understand that we don't know what it is, but, if there's $1 million of carryover, then, we should be able to take whatever small amount of that money is there and take it from the carryover. I mean, we've taken money from the carryover to do other things in the past years on multiple times prior to putting it in its final line item. So I don't see where this would be any different. We just simply offset it and allowing everybody to go ahead and pay the 202. We still come out the same with the police fee. We just simply take that small amount out and put it to the police fee at the end of the year when we do our carryover.
The carryover, when the final budget is adopted, the carryover, that's the last thing that is put into the budget, and the carryover is there to balance basically the budget from the department needs. And that's the way it's been for years as far as use of the carryover, and usually the budget doesn't really get finalized until we know what the carryover would probably be, and to try to do that, I don't know. When I first got elected, Mayor Owens called me up on Wednesday before I was even sworn in, and he had told me that we were not going to have enough money to cover the wages of our city employees. And I'm kind of like saying to myself, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And I don't have the money to put in a budget to help pay for the employees, no whatsoever. I am thankful that money did come in from Wednesday to Friday that we're able to do it. But the first 4 or 5 years that I served, there was almost, you couldn't buy anything. There was no money at all into the budget, and there is very little ways of raising income for this city. And when we went into home rule, one of the ways that we had was to continue to raise businesses their fees that they paid. And to me, that was a regressive fee of that type. And when we got home rule, we had to dial those figures back because of getting home rule. And to me, that was great. Because I thought that taxing businesses all the time basically is saying, we don't want you, we're going to tax you to death if you come into the city. So I'm saying there's not very many ways of getting fees. We got rid of the fire fee because the county basically is charging a fee now, and we're still paying more money in our budget to the fire department, and we're not charging a fee, but that's coming out of our general fund. But we're doing okay, but I'm not sure about the police fee and trying to recoup what we do if we lower the fees.
You know, we talked about this quite a bit last week. I did. And you're right, there was a token reduction of the B&O tax on manufacturing, which we virtually have none of. But we gave up an average of about $200,000 a year on B&O tax, while getting additional revenue of over $3 million a year. So with that being said, if we can't find a way to offset that small amount of money back into the police department without having the senior citizens to pay it, then quite frankly, I'm sorry, all of us up here should resign.
Mr. Conley, I don't believe the numbers.
I'm a senior, and the $1 is not going to hurt me. And I'll say this: if you go to the senior center and ask the citizens here, the $1 is not going to hurt them. We're not charging them $100 more a month or $50 more a month, $1 a month. I mean, we buy pop at the senior center, 2 pops, 50 cents a piece, which you can't buy at most places. But I mean, that's not that much money. I mean, we're not saying we're going to charge you a whole lot to seniors and rest everything on them. I've been through the budget process for a long time, and there are not very many ways of making that money up. And if we happen to lose home rule, we're going to have to go back to businesses and increase their fees, and then we're going to have to come and address this fee again and raise it. And I mean, it's just going to be a domino effect as far as trying to get money back. And to try to say at this time to cut this fee at this time, I think it's wrong.
I have 2 brief comments. Number one, with respect to the issue of the stock market. You know, we do rely on good performance, and if that shortfall exists, then the city's going to have to find a way to make that up for the police department. And secondly, anybody that pays attention knows that recruiting quality police officers in our area is becoming a chore. We see Sheriff Stevens, we see the Parkersburg Police Department discussing ways to recruit. We have a quality police department. Everybody agrees with that. Everybody agrees that they need funded. And I have to agree with Councilman Rogers that I don't think any citizen in Vienna, if asked directly with respect to the amount that this fee would be to retain that revenue source for our police department, is beyond the pale to consider to maintain the quality of officers that we do have in this city.
I would like to make a comment also. I think we have absolutely the finest police department of anyone around us. And the men that serve on that police department are very desirable. And I know that a lot of the agencies that are around us would love to have the men that we have on our police force. There are several communities in the state of West Virginia that are bumping the incentives to hire trained employees clear up to $10,000 as a bonus. There are people that are proposing to increase the wages up to $1.80 in additional wages just to give the police officers a more competitive wage. I will not vote to lower the police fee because I honestly believe that we have to stand with our police department and show these fellows that they're valuable to the city. You know, this is one of those things where we have to have them, and right now we have the best. And there are other agencies that are out there that are looking for replacement officers from the state police all the way down. And I don't want to lose a one of the ones we have, not one. And I think it's I think it's disrespectful that we would reduce the amount of money that is generated by this community specifically for the improvement and the continuous maintenance and improvement of the special services of police protection. I can't see that. I was more than happy to lower it to $3.50 so that we maintain that level. I'm not in favor of, making more money, but with Mr. Skogstad saying that the senior discount has to go away, I hope at some point we can reduce that fee down so that we still maintain that same dollar amount. But I am not in favor of reducing the police fee, because I'm not going to show disrespect to our officers and say that that I'm not in favor of their work. They're fabulous. We've got outstanding officers.
The city of
I don't think
Parkersburg
anybody
just basically, City of Parkersburg just basically said if one of our officers wanted to come from here and go to Parkersburg, they give them $10,000 straight. I mean, something's going to have to be done in the future as far as the police department, the salaries, and I think we offer $2,500 or something like that for an officer who is qualified to come in. $2,500 is a lot different than $10,000, which they're going to start offering in the city of Parkersburg. And I don't want to start saying all of our officers head the other way, but I think we have some great people here, and I'd like to retain them.
The last 3 years you've lost.
Sorry, Mr.
Mr. Bibby, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to comment that, I don't necessarily think that the reduction in this fee really takes away, at least in my opinion, our commitment, our loyalty to the police department, and I've said it over and over and over in meeting after meeting after meeting. And we're going way back again, but this is something that we've discussed about with the home rule with the 1%, with the increase in the water and sewer, that to look for something that we can reduce to the citizens. I understand this. If this passes, it's not going to be a reduction for the senior citizens, but it will be for the remainder of the citizens, and it'll make what equal is, which is what I think Mr. Skogstad is advising us to do. But in my opinion, it in no way does it take away my loyalty and appreciation for the police department.
And the other thing I want to add, Councilman Rogers, you made the comment that $1's not much, and you don't think that'll hurt the citizens of Vienna, the seniors of Vienna. Well, let's just turn that around. $1's not that much. And I certainly don't think it would hurt the city of Vienna to give it up either, allowing the people that pays their taxes and their fees to keep that little bit of money. And in reality, I don't know if you thought about it or not, but what you're sitting here really saying is that, you just said that you've never taken that reduction. But if you vote to make this $3 or $3.50, what you're in fact doing is voting to give the seniors an increase and voting to give yourself a decrease.
Mr. Skogstad, would you please clarify the law as to what your opinion is on the discount?
Well, say it again.
It is your opinion that
it is my
to go
opinion that the exemption for the class of people over 65, the senior discount is unlawful because fees have to be implemented to the individuals that are required to pay them equally. So the person who works at McDonald's and makes minimum wage, again, is subject to the same fee as a person who owns 5 rental properties in northern Vienna. Except that the person who's a senior who owns 5 rental properties in northern Vienna gets to pay a reduced fee, but the person at McDonald's who doesn't. Age is not a rational basis. The only case that I could find on point said that the only time that the West Virginia Supreme Court has allowed a fire fee in that case to be at different amounts was where the fire department charged extra for responding to calls outside of city limits. In those limited circumstances, the Supreme Court said that because the fire department had to put out fires outside of city limits, that was a reasonable or a rational reason for implementing disparate fees. Here, everybody is in the city of Vienna. Everybody here is subject to the same police and fire protection, regardless of income or status. And everybody should be required to pay the same fee. It is not a tax. Some people will say, while seniors get discounts for property taxes. That's because the legislature allows counties to implement ad valorem property taxes in the fashion that they do, and to allow the homestead exemption for people over, I believe it's 65. Municipalities are very limited in their ability to tax. There's B&O taxes, and there's a handful of other hotel, motel tax, and so forth, sales taxes. Those are the very limited circumstances that the legislature allows municipalities to charge a tax. So, for all those reasons, and again, a judge hasn't ruled on it yet, my opinion is, based on my examination of the law, the examination of how the user fee was implemented in Parkersburg, where in that case, folks that get of humble means who work at places like SW Resources, where $3 and $4 is a much more significant part of what they're paid than other folks, they had to implement that fee equally. So that's the reason why my legal opinion is that the fee as is presently implemented is unlawful. So it needs to be changed.
Thank you. Comments?
For the sake of, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Good.
I was just going to say that for the sake of beating a dead horse, and I don't know how many other ways to say this, what we're talking about doing is not going to take away from our police department. None of us up here is going to let anything stand in the way of our police department having the best of everything that they need and having everything that they could possibly need. That's not going to happen. I mean, it's just, as we've talked in the past, or as I've talked in the past, it's nothing more than just, it's just scare tactics, period. And it just amazes me that, we're talking basically about $100,000, $110,000 here. But why in the world is it that we can always find money to do what we want to do, but when it comes to giving a little bit back to the citizens, it's poor me, poor mouth. There's never anything to give back to the citizens, but if another house comes for sale on 29th Street, you can bet your booties that we're going to be all in. We need to start thinking about the people that's paying for those things. We need to start giving a little bit of that back and quit being so darn greedy.
Mayor, I think that,
I'm sorry, Ms. Smith.
Mayor.
Mr. Rogers was next.
I'm sorry.
I agree, and I said I was willing to compromise, and this council, I believe, last time voted 3-3 to not pass the 350, which is fine. Now we got 202 coming up, and I'm willing to compromise to try to bring that down, but if it doesn't, we're going to go straight to $4 in the next until the next time, unless something else comes up in the future. But at $3, you're still going to give 80% of the people back money, and the seniors, yeah, they're going to be paying extra, $1 a month extra, and to me, that's not that much. I mean, we've gone through the water sewer thing with all these scare tactics. It's going to cost, well, all the seniors going to lose their homes and everything else. It's not going to lose that much money as far as a dollar amount, as far as seniors are concerned. And I'm a senior, and I'm on a fixed income like everyone else as far as seniors are concerned. I got a $1 raise from the Social Security last year. I mean, it's $1 is I can adjust my income somehow that it would take care of it. But as far as losing the amount of money that we lose from 405 to 202, I think it's too much money. As the mayor said, if it was $3, it would only lose $24,000, and our Public Works Department last year bought no vehicles, none whatsoever, because they wanted to try to get back within our auditor's request of trying to get to 15% more in the budget because the state legislature passed it. So, $24,000 is not that much money, but I can't see losing that much money as far as the fee is concerned at 202.
Ms. Smith.
I think it's pretty apparent that, we've had this discussion quite a number of times at several meetings. I know that you have missed the last couple of them. The discussion has remained the same. The opinions have remained the same. I'm at this point now, I think we need to take a vote and move on. Everybody knows how I feel. I do not feel that we should do away with the revenue stream at this point in time as we're operating the city. That's how I feel. I've spoke that before. I think it's apparent. Everybody has made their same opinion, and those have not changed. I think we need to just vote and move on.
I would like one more comment. I'm sorry, go
And we
ahead.
can sit here and say the same things over and over, and that's exactly what we've been doing meeting after meeting. I mean, do we want to continue to do this every single meeting? Because our opinions are still going to remain the same, I have a feeling. I'm just to the point that we're hashing it out and getting nowhere. I think that we need to present an ordinance, take a vote, and go from there. Or an amendment, whatever, but carry on and move on with it.
Just one last comment, and Councilman Rogers, I want to respond to something that you said, that you thought that the seniors should be able to adjust their income to make up for that dollar in some shape or form. Well, I would venture to say that it would be a lot easier for the city to make up that dollar than it would be for the senior citizens to make up that dollar. So, there's absolutely, we can afford it. We all know that we can afford it. Any of the scare tactics that we're doing right now, I mean, you're the liaison for the seniors. Absolutely, the seniors inside out. And yeah, I'm sure that they can adjust their income for that dollar, but I promise you, we sitting up here can adjust for that dollar a whole lot easier than they can.
The amount that was proposed at last council's meeting did not pass. The $3.50 that was put forth would have lowered the rate for all the citizens, and of course you all know that the bulk of the citizens never received that senior discount. But the $3.50 would have lowered the amount that all the citizens paid, except for the ones that were signed up on the senior discount, and still maintained the dollar amount that funds line item 351. That amendment could be brought back as a compromise to lower the fee for 80% of the people. The seniors, because of Mr. Skogstad's opinion, no matter what, are going to lose their discount that they've had for, I don't know, since 1974. Okay? And so, no, good advice is good advice. We have to, that's why we have you here. And so, the amendment, the ordinance that we have could be amended to say the $3.50 and benefit 80% of the people that have paid the $4.05. But that's to be determined by you all. All right? So let me go back to where we are. I'll read the ordinance as it has been amended, and then we'll go from there if there's any more amendments or if we're going to vote. All right? Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Article 729.03 is hereby amended as follows. 729.03 fees. A, for the continuance, maintenance, and improvement of the special services of police protection by the city, there is hereby imposed upon the users thereof, that is to say, collectively, upon the occupants of each residential premise, each manufacturing plant, and each business premise from and after July the 1st, 2019, an annual fee or charge of $24.24 per year. This fee shall be payable in monthly payments in the amount of $2.02 each, beginning July the 1st, 2019, and on the first day of each month thereafter, as long as this article remains in effect. Did I read the amendment right, sir?
That's correct. July 1st, 2019.
Okay.
Like I say, I would move to amend it back to what the 350 was for the 80%, and that is less people affected by it.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we amend the ordinance as presented to go from $24.24 per year to,
Let's just call it $3.50.
and then we'll figure out the monthly fee. Okay, great, thank you. I can't think.
I think it's 42.
$3.50 per month, with the same beginning dates, and remaining on the first day of each month thereafter, as long as this article remains in effect. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I just think on this whole thing, I'm gonna vote against it because I think about what Roger said, the simple thing. It's simple we can find the money. I'd rather the city take on the $100,000 and pass it on to citizens. We spend $89,000 on a house over there because for future city hall or whatever it's gonna be called, but we can spend money like that we can't spend that much money on our citizens of Vienna. We can't find it in our budget. And I know, looking through the budget, we can find $100,000 or apply the surplus that we have every year to make up that extra $100,000 that we're losing.
All right, I'll call for the question then. All those in favor of the ordinance amending Article 729.03 on second reading to $3.50 per month beginning July the 1st, 2019, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. All right, the amendment fails. So we're back to where we were then. Be it ordained by the Common Council that for the continuance, maintenance, and improvement of the special services of police protection by the city, there is hereby imposed upon the users thereof, that is to say, collectively upon the occupants of each residential premise, each manufacturing plant, and each business premise from and after July the 1st, 2019, an annual fee or charge of $24.24 per year. This fee shall be payable in monthly payments in the amount of $2.02 each, beginning July the 1st, 2019, and on the first day of each month thereafter, so long as this article remains in effect. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the ordinance reducing the fee to $2.02 per month, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion fails. All right, we go back to the item that was dropped down on this ordinance, on this agenda. It's an ordinance on second reading, repealing Article 729.04. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Article 729.04, exemptions of the Vienna Municipal Code, is hereby repealed. If there is a concern about the date that this will be implemented as far as the billing process goes,
Why can't we make an amendment to implement it on a specific date?
we can allow it to go through one complete billing cycle.
Why don't you, I prefer you did an amendment, did it by amendment to this. It's not a material change. Amend it, give it an effective date of whenever it would be the best or easiest to implement, being is what, tomorrow is the billing date, right?
So we go to November 1st?
November. However, whatever you guys think it is, November 1st.
Okay, well,
That's fine with me. I mean, there's nothing you can do about the bills that have already gone out. I mean, or I suppose you can implement a refund.
Okay, so I've read the ordinance, and Mr. Skogstad has explained
Not a refund. You could ask for people to give money that they've been discounted back.
Okay. I've read the ordinance as it is written. Is there an amendment to change the date of the adoption for when this goes into effect?
I think July 1st, 2019, since it's the end of the budget year, would probably be a good effective date, rather than just...
I'm okay with that, Bruce, as long as Mr. Skogstad says that we have that window.
If you want.
That depends on Mr. Skogstad and the window.
I'm gonna say the same thing. The discount, as long as it's implemented, is not implemented correctly. If you want to implement it in July, understand that you would have a senior discount that would be implemented incorrectly until July. And you have the same issue that you had before, which is at any point, any person could challenge the lawfulness of the senior discount and anytime in the next 6 months. So my recommendation is you do it November 1st. The bills have already gone out. But you've also can look at it the same way as it hasn't been challenged for 44 years.
And we're certainly not going to go after someone for 35 cents.
No, probably.
Okay. All right. We have an ordinance on second reading repealing Article 729.04 of the codified ordinances of the City of Vienna. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that Article 729.04, exemptions of the Vienna Municipal Code, is hereby repealed. Is there any discussion?
As it stands right now, I'm just going to make sure we're all on the same page. If this second reading is approved, then in essence, everybody's paying $4.05, including the seniors, which means that the seniors are receiving an increase of $2.03. So that's what we're doing here, folks. Just make sure we're all on the same page and we understand what we're about to do.
Any further discussion? Then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the ordinance on second reading repealing Article 729.04 of the codified ordinances of the City of Vienna, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries on second reading. We now move to council comments.
I do have one thing, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
It was stated at the last meeting that the only time that the department heads were really required to talk to any of us council members was at the actual council meetings, which would be the second and fourth Thursday of every month. But I have noticed over the last 3, maybe 4 meetings, and you look around tonight, there's no department heads here. So that makes it absolutely impossible for anybody on council to have any type of a discussion with any council member. With that being the case, I think that we need to have those department heads here available to us at each and every council member, council meeting, not member, or we need to be able to pick up the phone and call those department heads and get whatever questions answered we need answered. So we need to have some interaction with the department heads. Right now, they're just non-existent to us.
Any other comments from council? I have one item that I would like to bring to your attention. Yesterday was a very significant day for the City of Vienna. Through the efforts of Mr. Thornton and all of the members of this council, 3 years ago we applied for a Brownsfield grant to clean up the asbestos in the debris piles and all of the mess at Johns Manville. And with the expertise of Mr. Leach guiding us through all of the voluntary remediation and all of the sampling and all the things that have to be done, that process is coming to a conclusion very rapidly. But on Tuesday, we did the final walkthrough on the Johns Manville property. The Brownfield grant has been completed. All of the asbestos, all of the debris piles, all of the steel are gone. Once Mr. Leach gets us through the sampling and the approvals from the DEP, and we do the remediation on the riverfront side, the Johns Manville project will be completed. I think it's very noteworthy to put in there that in the documents that we filed with the federal government for the Brownfield grant, that we told them that we would start that project October the 1st of 2015, and that we would complete that project by September the 30th of 2018. As of Tuesday, which was the 25th, we met that window. We are done. The reclaim company has pulled all of their equipment. They have moved on to another job. And now we go to the next phase where we work to find a new business, a new venture to take over that property. If you have not been down there, it is amazing to see how big that piece of property is. And those fellows from Reclaim did an outstanding job. They're the same company that tore down the old Fenton Art glass factory. And they've just, the cleanup and the work that they did was outstanding. Mr. Rogers, you live right beside it.
Better believe it, they did a good job.
Quite a change.
And yes, and I can see 5 blocks right through where Manville used to be.
So anyway, I just wanted you all to know that the Brownsville project completed itself on Tuesday. So thank you all for having enough faith in us to get that done. And Mr. Leach, thank you for your continued efforts. And hopefully with Mr. Rebar's assistance, we'll get the last phase of it done and we'll move on.
Thank you, Mayor.
I was hoping to have some conversation about the availability of the department heads and how we're going to go forward with that.
You may call me tomorrow. You come and see me. I'll be glad to talk to you.
No, I'm talking about the department heads being available to us.
Yes, sir.
As has been stated,
Yes, sir.
we're not allowed to talk to them other than at the department meetings.
Yes, sir. Any other council comments this evening?
I'm not finished yet.
You stated your comment, Roger. I allowed you to do that. What do you want me to do?
I want to know what we're going to do to be able to allow us to have interaction with the department heads. We need to have them here. That's where we are allowed to talk to department. Okay, let's do this. I move that we put an ordinance at the next meeting that requires all department heads to be available at the city council meetings, to make them available to the council people for questions or comments about their specific departments.
Okay, Bruce, you have a comment?
Yeah. I have a problem with that because if I sit here and ask the department head a question and they have no forewarning as to what I'm going to ask, they really don't know how to answer it a lot of times. So if there is a way you could email the information to them or ask for a FOIA or something like that of a department head when they're here so that they have some heads up, then that would be a lot more formal. But, you know, getting back to the Manville property, I know that when we decided to purchase the Manville property, we were looking for someone to come in and purchase it and to recoup that money back to our citizens here. And I'd like to say this: there is not very much flat land in this city or land that is available, and there are needs in our recreation program and our citizens about this. And I know that a lot of people have talked about a boat ramp at Spencer's Landing. Our community building is old. It needs to be replaced. There's need for soccer fields for our recreation program because they are totally get worn out every season, and we need land. And I hope that we will, in a 5-year plan or something like that, consider maybe selling part of Manville and recouping back part of our money or something like that. But I think that we need to keep that in such a way that we just don't go out and throw it away automatically. I know that when we built 60th Street, some of the things that we said we're going to do is sell 12th Street and 31st Street garages, and our police department has never had a garage where they could basically change oil or do maintenance on their vehicles, and they said they needed the garage at 31st Street, and I think that's great. And we have, as a city, gone out and rented buildings to store some of our things. and they said we can take that rental that's put in storage and put in the other building that's on 31st Street by Lambert Tapman and use it instead of paying for storage areas. And I think that we need to really get our thinking caps on before we go ahead and try to sell Manville property and recoup all of the money. I mean, we're all right so far financially, and maybe, if we lose home rule, hey, sell Manville, bring the money into our budget, and then, go from there. But I think we need to be careful, because we have needs down the road, and I think some of those needs to be put in, like a plan in the future.
Bruce, I'm sorry. 2 weeks ago, we reviewed the 5-year plan, and I asked for input. You weren't here, and I apologize, because we did it both at council and the utility board. If you would simply send me an email with those suggestions that you have, I will add those to the 5-year plan for discussion by council.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry I didn't tell you that, but we have done that. All right, a couple announcements before we close this
I got one comment, Mayor, before you do.
Okay,
I'd just
sorry,
like to thank the Vienna Public Library for hosting an open house and giving away door prizes, because now I have this to take home to my granddaughter tonight.
There you go. The next council meeting will be a regular council session scheduled for October the 11th at 2018 at 7 p.m. Alvin Phillips from Habitat for Humanity is going to come and give us an update on their activities. We just had a grand opening on 17th Street for a new Habitat home. They're beautiful if you've never been in one. Trick or treat for the city of Vienna, Williamstown, Belpre, and Parkersburg will be Tuesday, October the 30th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And on Saturday, October the 27th at the dog parks, they're hosting Halloween for dogs from 1 to 3 p.m. So decorate your dog and be part of that. All right? Meeting adjourned.
You're the armor, right? One of them, yeah.
Now, they could.
Sit down and tell me about I love this guy. All right, this is a lot better than money and wages.
I've been told